really glad we managed to sneak out of there. It was getting pretty overwhelming, wasn't it? You really like my wings? Thank you. I've been told they're a bit of a showstopper. Well, thanks for coming out here with me. I didn't plan on having this many people at my party, but a few people started posting videos on social media, then a bunch of people started showing up. It got out of hand pretty quickly. You know, you really are a superhero for saving me from all that chaos. Is that so? Well, I must admit, it's not every day I get to spend time with a superhero. I think I could get used to this. You know, it's just so peaceful out here compared to at the party. The stars are really starting to come out and shine. Yeah, I've always found stargazing to be super relaxing too. There's just something magical about the night sky. I mean, it's just so quiet out here, and the stars, they look incredible. I love the stories behind the constellations too. If you look up over there, you'll see a line of 3 stars that form Orion's belt. Orion is often depicted as a hunter, and his belt is one of the most distinct features in the night sky. And right next to his belt, you might notice a faint, blurry area. That's the Orion Nebula, a stellar nursery where new stars are born. It's incredible to think about the vastness of space and the life happening right there. And a little over to the west, you can see Taurus, the bull. And if you look for the bright red star, that's Aldebaran. It's one of the eyes of the bull. The bull is often depicted charging towards Orion. Then if you follow the line of Orion's belt upward, you'll eventually come across the Pleiades star cluster. It's also known as the Seven Sisters. It's a beautiful sight, especially when the sky is really clear. Now if you look over to the north, you'll see the Big Dipper, which is part of the larger constellation Ursa Major. The Big Dipper looks like a ladle or a spoon, and it's really helpful for finding the North Star, Polaris. Polaris is part of the Little Dipper, or Ursa Minor, and it's special because it's almost directly above the North Pole, so it stays in the same spot all night. And speaking of the North Star, if you follow the 2 stars at the end of the Big Dipper's bowl, they actually point towards Polaris. It's like having a built-in compass in the sky. Ooh, and this one is one of my favorite constellations. Look towards the eastern part of the sky, and you'll see a constellation that resembles a winged horse. That's Pegasus. The most notable feature of Pegasus is the Great Square of Pegasus, which forms the body of the horse. It consists of 4 bright stars that outline a large square shape in the sky. One of these stars, called Enif, marks the horse's nose. Pegasus is part of Greek mythology, and its story involves a majestic winged horse that sprang from the blood of Medusa. Which one? Oh, that group of stars that looks like a big W? That's Cassiopeia. She was a queen in Greek mythology, famous for her vanity. That's Perseus. He was quite the hero himself. In mythology, he's known for slaying the Gorgon Medusa. And just like you, he had quite the knack for saving the day. The planets are so beautiful too. They're so fascinating because they shine with a steady light, unlike stars, which twinkle. Tonight we might actually be able to see some of the planets in our solar system. Did you know that Venus is often visible in the early evening, so it's known as the evening star? Venus is the second planet from the Sun, and it's one of the brightest objects in the night sky. It can usually be seen right after sunset or right before sunrise. Then we have Mars. It has a distinct reddish hue, and that comes from its iron oxide surface. Mars is pretty close to Earth, and it can be pretty bright. Look for its reddish color in the sky, and if you have a telescope, you might even see some of its surface features. Isn't that cool? Oh, and Jupiter is another planet that's usually visible in the night sky. It's the largest planet in our solar system, and it shines with a steady, bright light. And if you look closely, you might be able to see Jupiter's 4 largest moons. And if you look closely, you might be able to see Jupiter's 4 largest moons: Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. They were first observed by Galileo, and they're known as the Galilean moons. And of course, we can't forget Saturn. Saturn is famous for its stunning ring system. Even with a small telescope, you can see the rings, which are composed of ice and rock particles. Isn't that amazing? Rings made of ice and rocks? Saturn's rings are really one of the most beautiful sights in the night sky. Oh, and the moon is so beautiful too. I love how its phases change throughout the month. We see different parts of the moon depending on its position relative to the Earth and the Sun. During the new moon phase, the moon is between the Earth and the Sun, so it's not actually visible from our vantage point. As the moon moves, we see more of its surface illuminated, and it transitions through waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter, and waning crescent phases before returning to new moon. I know, right? The night sky is so amazing. Well, I'm sorry if I got a little carried away with all my fun facts about stars. I've always been so fascinated by astronomy, but sometimes people look at me like I'm crazy. No, they definitely do. They don't say it, but I know they're thinking it. I don't know. It's like people think that I don't have any interests outside of parties and social events just because I'm popular. It's almost kind of insulting, actually. I mean, all the socializing gets overwhelming after a while. Sometimes it's nice to just sit out here with nothing but the stars and my thoughts. Really? You actually think that it's cool that I'm into this kind of stuff? So you're not just trying to be nice to me? Well, okay. Thank you for listening and not making fun of me. What do you mean I make it sound enchanting? Well, I mean, it's not every day a superhero gets a tour of the galaxy from an angel, right? Well, I'm glad you think so. I mean, I could spend hours out here talking about the stars. You know, I'm really glad we met at the party tonight. Yeah, it was quite a scene when we first bumped into each other. I was trying to avoid the crowd, and you were just standing by the snack table, looking like you were ready to save the world from an overabundance of candy. Exactly, we were totally plotting our escape plans at the same time. You had this heroic look on your face, and I thought, now there's someone who might understand my need for a little peace and quiet. When you offered to help me navigate the crowded room, I knew we would make a good team. And you totally had this reassuring presence, like a protector in all of the chaos. It was kind of magical. And then when we decided to escape together, I felt like we were embarking on our own little adventure. Maybe we were meant to find each other here. You know, the stars often seem to align for those who need a little magic in their lives. I think tonight they've certainly done their part. Yeah, it's been really nice sharing tonight with you too. So, can I tell you one last heavenly secret? Well, one of the reasons why I seemed a little distracted at the party earlier was because I was hoping a certain guy was going to show up. Yeah, he's the new kid in my poetry class. I haven't talked to him yet, but there's just something about him that I can't explain. When I got up in front of the class a couple weeks ago to recite the new poem I wrote, I just couldn't help but notice the way he was looking at me. That poem was so personal to me, and it just felt like he understood every word I was saying. You know what I mean? Like he was actually looking at me as a person, not as the popular girl, not as just another student, but it was like he truly saw who I was at that moment. Kind of like the way I look at these stars. Oh god, that sounds crazy, doesn't it? I mean, this guy hasn't shared any of his own poetry yet, so I don't even know what his voice sounds like. I know absolutely nothing about him, yet I felt this gravitational pull that I just can't get out of my head. I've been wanting to talk to him, but I'm always surrounded by so many people at school. I just haven't had the chance to do it yet. And he seems to keep to himself most of the time, so I didn't want to be a bother anyway. It's like he's so close, yet so far away. What do you mean he might be closer than I think? Oh my gosh, it was you behind that mask the whole time? You let me get all cheesy about stars and planets and my crush, and you didn't even say anything? Well, you are truly trying to be my superhero tonight, aren't you? Well, I have to say, you just made this the perfect ending to what I thought was going to be a lame Halloween party. It really has been magical, hasn't it? Well, maybe we can make this a new tradition. Stargazing with an angel and her favorite superhero. Well, until then, let's just enjoy this moment. The stars, the peace and quiet, and each other. I wouldn't have it any other way.